again, welcome back. Today I'm going to talk about two films about abuse. So it's going to be a more heavier subject. These are Filty Rich, the Jeffrey Epstein story from on Netflix, and On the Record, which deals with Russell Simmons, the rap producer. This is probably going to be a short video actually, because it's such a dark subject matter. I'm really trying to try and watch these films, really, with this one. Filty Rich is the longer one. It's like 4 hours over basically 4 episodes. So they cut it into different spots, different episodes, and tell a different part of the story. So you can watch in 4 parts, but actually once you get started you kind of want to push through, because it is so disturbing. You kind of want to get it over with, because it's like just get through it, because it's so horrific. It's not a flawless documentary. It could have been like 3 hours quite easily, because there's lots of I've seen this criticism from a few people. Basically, there's lots of shots of people looking out to the beach, or a lot of mood stuff that you don't really need, that's nothing to do with what's going on. It actually kind of takes away from the film, and it's something that On the Record does as well. But On the Record does it slightly better, because it knows you can only go so far with it. And this film doesn't know that, and it really takes the idea of who was Epstein and what was he about, beyond just the headlines. Because you hear that with Epstein, you hear he was a pervert and he died in mysterious circumstances. That everyone, but the joke is now, you know, Epstein didn't kill himself, because it looks like he didn't. It looks like someone took him out just to hide all his secrets, because he seemed to have a lot of dirt on a lot of people. I think he got killed by somebody, but I'm not particularly bothered because he was such a scumbag. It's like it's one of those ones where I think there was a conspiracy to kill him, but he had it coming. You know, it's like, I'm not going to go down the weeds with conspiracy theories at all, because I don't care that much. I just think he was a scumbag who really did horrible stuff. Because no matter how bad you thought he was, when you see a documentary, he was 10 times worse. He really was a serial predator of the worst kind. And this documentary really pushes about how he and his the people around him both abused people and actually kept on a leash for a long time, like emotional leash, or they can't escape. And when they did escape and try to bring up what he'd done, the people, they would be threatened. I will not mention names of the people who was his co-conspirators, apparently alleged co-conspirators in this documentary. The press can deal with this, you know. Although the press were pretty much really absent for a lot of the time, they were shown to be in this documentary not particularly forceful in trying to push the idea that Epstein was a sick psycho. They didn't really do their jobs, because he was such an obvious predator, and because he was rich, no one pushed it really too much. Which is a thing you get on the record too, like people don't push stuff because the business is tied to the person who's been accused. The same thing you read about the Harvey Weinstein stuff. It's the same thing. Is like, people do not push when their livelihoods are on the line. People are compromised by their livelihoods, by their political connections, and it's something that comes up again and again. It's a thing that no one will look into with this stuff. It's always like, that person bad. We'll not look into all the enabling things that happened for decades that allowed this person to go on. That's the thing that people are terrified of talking about, because it shows you a element of complicity by lots of people who do not want to get named, who are worried about their reputations. And everyone now knows there's a lot of scumbaggery and complicity going on in various media industries that are pretty horrific. So, to the Epstein story. The Epstein story literally starts showing you some of the victims, like what he would do to them. Like, he would initially befriend them before he'd abuse them, and then he would leave them a feeling there's nowhere else to go. Like, you are stuck here, and if you try and run away, we will get you, you know. And it's also the fact that he tends to ensnare families. So if one person doesn't know who he is, they introduce him to a family member, and then he kind of traps both of them, and both of them are kind of traumatized, and he's a real predator with a knowledge of who are people with problems, how can I exploit these problems, how can I make them feel like there's nowhere else to go. And to him it always feels like, when you watch the documentary, it's a throwaway to him. It's like, I've dealt with this person, I'm on to the next person, and I have people terrorising these people so they'll shut up. It's like, it didn't mean anything. Most didn't mean anything to him. He was in for some weird kick of his own that had to do with massages and abuse of power, and he seemed to have a lot of things about power in his head. But it was obviously a type was an underage girl, really. It was his type, 15, 16, people who weren't quite formed, who could easily be manipulated, and what's worse, he turned people who were he manipulated and abused into people finding other girls for him, because he manipulated them so much that they never saw the pattern of what he was doing, and he'd actually turn people from victims to accomplices. And that's pretty sick, and that's just like a typical predator. And it's like, as you see it through the whole 4 episodes again and again, you get the message the first time, but you get to see it again and again and again. It's really disturbing, and it's because one of the strengths of the documentary is it focuses on the victims a lot of the time. It focuses on, what does this do to people, really? What does it do to a woman who gets abused and who's disbelieved by anybody? Or when she goes to the FBI, they say they'll do something about it, and then they don't. Or if she goes, they'll go to the press, they say, oh, we'll do some of this, and then they don't, because they've been told not to do it, and there's weak excuses for why they do it. And then they find out when they go to government and the police, and they go up to the FBI, and they go up to the Attorney General, we're going to do something like this, and then a plea deal's done that's so weak that it may as well just say go off. It's compromise after compromise by people in power that is utterly unacceptable. And this documentary just keeps pushing that idea of, like, people are compromised with this guy. This guy's a serial predator. He can hire the best people to defend him because he's so much money. And he will do everything he can to ensure that nobody who he abuses gets any justice. He's that malicious. Like, when he went into jail, when it was pretty obvious he was going to stay in jail before his alleged suicide, he moved all his money to his brother's account so that no one could sue his estate to get money. No one who was a victim could sue and get any money for what he'd done to them all, which is scumbaggery at his worst. It's making sure that these women did not get anything from him. And this whole trip seemed to be about abuse and control, and he seemed to get a real enjoyment knowing he controlled these women and made sure they could not get any control of their lives. And just the effect on these women is really horrific to watch. It just shows you how horrible rape is and how horrible sexual abuse is, and how it can come in different ways. Like how he turned people who turned him down into people who would go and find other girls for him, and turned them into predators for him, essentially. And there's one woman who I didn't really do that happened to, and she's the one who she tries to play a victim in the documentary, and I don't have any sympathy, because it's like, yeah, you were a kid, but really, if you knew what it was about and you still went and got women for him, admittedly, it's like, ugh, that's one of the weaknesses of the documentary, is they don't call her out and that and say, look, come on. I mean, it's meant to be implied you meant to not like her, but it could have been a bit more forceful about it. But most of the other women who deal with this, you just watch and are horrified by what's going on. And he's got this island that's basically a rape island where a lot of people went to, that Bill Clinton went to, but there's no any evidence of him actually ever doing anything to anybody. No one has ever come up and said he did something inappropriate there. But Prince Andrew allegedly went there. There's photographs of him with one of the models at a London apartment, and there's other testimonies of people saying no, he was there and doing stuff. Or was one guy, at least in this documentary. It's like really nasty stuff, and the whole documentary just makes you feel like, ugh, this is just, you you feel like once you finish, you feel like you need to go in for a shower, a very long shower to shower off all the dirt of this. What you always watched. It's really disturbing. It's really worth watching though. You can have to sort of have some strength and just get through it, because you kind of need to watch it, because it is about how horrible some of these people are, how horrible these like serial rapists are. It's not just about the sex. It's about the power. It's about getting off an idea of people being traumatized by them and people being under their control in some way. There's a weird psychological sickness going on there that's hard to really deal with. Now we go to On the Record, which is about Russell Simmons and allegations against him. Now this is much more in the air, because there's been no criminal charges against him, just allegations. But multiple, there've been lots of women now come forward, and they all seem to have the same story about what he did and how he trapped them, allegedly. But I believe the victims in this. There's too many of the same story. They didn't know each other, and it's been on for so long. It's like, plus it's a guy who had other allegations of never being the most honest person, you know. And it seemed to be an open secret around his record company that he liked a certain type of woman, and the people around about in the record label did not respect anybody who was a woman who was tied to Russell Simmons, because they thought it's just slipping away to the top. Which is what people had to deal with when they went in there after a woman, you know. And you'd have to prove yourself even more. But basically he was allegedly a serial rapist. And this documentary goes into a few different women who it went through. There was one especially, Drew, somebody who was a record executive who came up, who went in there, loves music, went in there to produce music. She got through the whole thing of people thinking she was sleeping with Russell Simmons, but she wasn't, to actually produce some records for him that all did really well. And then when once abuse happened, she left, and then went into another company that was apparently a lot easier for her, and she kept on making music that worked. But she repressed the rape, or the alleged rape. I'm going to say it's rape, you know, because I kind of, it's like there's so much in this that makes you think, yeah, there's no way this is not true. But you have to say alleged just to cover yourself legally. But and then basically when she does other place, she did well for a couple of years, and then someone else took over, and he was partly a predator as well, allegedly. But it seems that there's a lot of alleged predators in the music industry. And there's a lot of interesting things going on here. I mean, the first thing is it's actually talking about a black industry rather than a white industry, because most of the abusers we've seen before tend to be white. And in this one, it looks at black predators and the culture of misogyny within rap, and how it may, even though in certain areas a lot of women come up through rap as well and did well, there was a lot of misogyny within rap. It went from being like a music that was like a protest music against racism and violence by the police, to being music about misogyny and, you know, power fantasies by these different men, and how that kind of affected the world they were in as well, and how people get damaged by that. So it also covers that kind of element of it, but also the idea of what damage does to people, because this woman, after the second industry person turned into a predator, allegedly, she just quit music and stopped listening to music, and it took her a long time, until probably about almost like 15 years of sitting in that and not doing anything about it. And then you find there's lots of other victims doing the same thing, and how the idea is that they can't really go over it, they can't really express it, because no one's going to believe them. It's because Russell Simmons is a big and powerful figure that he ran industries, so it was like there was no way to really say that he was this person he's alleged to be. So it's really, again, like the Epstein one is really strong idea of what the victims are, what the victims went through, how this culture created damage, and what the damage actually was. And it doesn't say in both documentaries do not say the women were perfect. It does not say they all made perfectly logical decisions every way. That's what makes you more when you trust them more. It's like it doesn't say they did the most logical response to anything. It doesn't show you how much damage gets done when this thing happens to a person, how it damages their thought processes, how it damages their soul, so that they can't think straight sometimes, and how they can't quite deal with it, they have to repress it, and at least the bad decisions. And if both documentaries are all upfront about that, bad decisions are made, but the initial damage was done by these predators, and it shows you how that can spin out of life, so that people don't live up to their expectations of themselves, what other people thought they were going to do, how it takes a long time for a person to actually get back from that, if ever, and how it really can derail someone's life. And that's really the strength of both documentaries. It's about derailing of lives and how it derails people's ability to move on, their ability to cope, and the actual damage done by rape. So these are both very powerful documentaries. I'd say On the Record's a better one though. On the Record is shorter, it sticks to the point more, it's clearer. The Epstein one does feel too long, even though it's really brutal about what happened. I mean, it could have been a 3-hour documentary or a 3 episodes. It would probably work better that way, because there's certain bits where you feel you're getting padded out a little bit. It's stuff you don't really need to know, it's not really the details you're wanting. And I think it would be more powerful at 3 hours rather than 4, because it feels like there's just little bits that you don't need. But On the Record feels much more to the point, more concise about what the problems were. But they're both definitely worth watching. Filthy Rich is easier to find, On the Record's harder to find, but I'd say try and find both of them. They're both terrific. Well, I'm not going to say I hope you enjoyed that, because I know you're going to enjoy this one, but I hope you'll go and find these and watch them. Right, bye for now. We're back with something a bit more upbeat. Okay, right, bye for now.